slow. Oh, there it goes. Can you check it? I don't remember what chapter 5 is about, so maybe who murdered the person?
Who murdered? Murder!
Continue. Your list of actions regarding your current objectives. What?
Keep forgetting that I want to try and set up the chats over there so you can see it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Okay, guys, let's. I guess we'll just hit R. Yeah, let's hit R. We are still investigating the murder, I guess. It doesn't say I have to talk to anybody though. And I don't have any chains. The secret. I'm still also trying to investigate the blackmail. They don't.
Good morning, Detective.
I'm afraid I did not.
Oh, my volume is
hoping
so
for at
low.
least a moment of pleasant slumber, but alas,
That's
it was
so
not to be.
awkward, you guys.
Turn it up in the settings.
Right.
Finding the Major's killer
Just-
is
we'll have
the
to go
only
through
thing
these.
that will put my mind
Just
at
give me a
ease.
minute. Finding the Major's killer is the only thing that'll put my mind at ease. In that case, detective, what can I do to help? While watching the snowfall last night, I swear I saw a silhouette of a figure standing in the garden.
In that snow. If someone was out there, we'd have another body on our hands.
I realize how strange it sounds. I
Oh
would not
yeah, he
believe
saw
it
somebody in the
myself
window.
if
I still
had
think it's
not seen
Floret,
it with my own
whatever
eyes.
the fuck her name is.
Staff have reported seeing things in the dark before, but it always just turns out to be shadows. It was likely just your mind playing tricks.
I did not see Mademoiselle Elizabeth last night.
I'm afraid our Lizzie is not well. I think the events of yesterday were too much for her.
Oh.
We'll have to just make do without her this morning.
We won't see her this morning either. She's sick.
As Wordsworth once stated, rest and be thankful. Perhaps a chance of peace and relaxation will work wonders.
I'd also like to speak with Madame Van den Bosch at her earliest convenience.
She is currently eating breakfast alone in the dining room. It's how she prefers it. But if you...
It is not important I speak with her. Or it is important I speak with her, but perhaps it is better to allow her to finish. I do not wish to upset her. Before I have even asked the first question, I could perhaps investigate the garden for any evidence of a fate from the figure last night. Would you permit me to
I
test the
would,
phone?
but I'm afraid I found this morning that the telephone lines aren't working. The snow continued through the night and must have damaged them.
Folder
Even
damage.
if we could use the telephone, I don't think...
In that case, it will be up to myself alone to solve the case.
It's gonna be up to him himself to solve
I'll
the
let you
case.
know if anything changes. But until some of the snow clears, enough for the carriages to arrive, we are snowed in.
Although I am not able to call upon or leave the house to find help from the local authorities, it is also none of the guests are able to leave. I have until the snow clears to find out not only Mademoiselle Blackmiller, but also the Major's killer.
Taken care of. Master Demir and his brother, after sobering up, helped me
So
move
have you
them into
found
the
the Major's
cellar.
killer?
Best place for the time being.
They put him in the cellar.
Très bien. I imagine there is no reason for anyone to go down there.
Besides me, no one. Once this snow clears, we will be able to move him from the house.
Your assistance has been most valuable.
Okay, let's. Options.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you were comfortable last night.
Bonjour, mademoiselle. The room was more than pleasant, merci. I'm afraid my mind was not in a state to enjoy it to its full potential, though.
I can't imagine any of us slept soundly last night.
Hopefully, guilt will be weighing heavily on someone's shoulders this morning.
Perhaps on more than one
I'm
set.
sorry if I was not much help last night, Detective.
On the contrary, your inside knowledge of the guests was of great help to my investigation.
Opportunity to
But
raise
there
the-
are many
Interesting.
more questions that require answers.
That's if she's watching, she's let me know if it's not high enough. What are your feelings towards the Major's position in the house?
His position? You mean about him living here?
Oui, even in a house this size, you must see a lot of each other.
I enjoyed having him here. When I was away with Gideon, it was comforting to know Maman was not alone. Although his work with Mr. Da Silva has kept him away from the house of late.
What can you tell me about their relationship, working or otherwise?
There is not much to tell, only that there is no love lost between them.
Do you know what their business entitled?
He was always quite private about his work. I know that he was helping Mr. Da Silva with some safety matters.
I found a check addressed to the Major from Monsieur Da Silva. It noted security consulting.
Ah, that's right, security. With his military training, he helped Mr. Da Silva prepare for any trouble with the strikes.
Although Major's death has taken precedence, there has been a development in the Black Belt
A
case.
development? Oh, Detective, I knew I could count on you.
It may not be the news you had wished for, though. Another letter has been found.
Addressed to me? I don't know how much more I can take of this.
Pardonnez-moi, mademoiselle. Although it has been written in the same manner, using similar phraseology, it was not sent for your eyes, rather the Major's. Or at least that is how it seems.
I'm sorry, Detective, I don't understand. It is addressed to him or not?
I found it in the Major's study yesterday while conducting my preliminary search. Whether he is the author of the letter or the recipient, I am still yet to discover.
Could the Major have been behind the
Heavens no. He could not do that.
You did not hesitate for a moment.
Why would he do such a thing? And then to send a letter to himself. It just doesn't make sense.
Merci for your time, mademoiselle. You are to a detective what an umbrella is to a traveler on a wet day.
Useful?
Exactement.
Let's go to the garden. See what we can find. I didn't see anything Zachariah in the background when I was talking to her, but I'll go back. Finding evidence to figure from last night will, on one hand, confirm I have not seen things, but on the other hand, pose even more questions that may need to be answered.
Oh,
Mom made lighter with the senior military. The Major must have dropped it. I would not. I won't. I guess I would. It's a murder investigation. Lucky the smallest things. It's so much.
aha.
Okay. What was my name again?
Aha.
House is completely snowed in and it does not look like we shall be going anywhere anytime soon. No problems.
Huh.
Has been left out for collection. I cannot see anyone making it through the snow.
Oh,
And do the watch out. Proceeding for the snowfall. Cassandra.
I should not be surprised by my own.
One can be surprised with Angela and Felix's bond. He sort of figure in her life for so long. I'm not expecting a garden like what more can I do out here? Oh, feet footprints. How did I miss those? There's a small trail footprints in the snow. The major was seen walking around here yesterday. Snow is still falling and hardly dressed for this occasion. Perhaps Madame Bosch has finished her breakfast. Okie dokie, artichoke. Let's go check around. While I must speak with her, I should also have opportunity to talk to her in the kitchen. Section artists extends further than just paintings. I don't know how much trouble to really looking at this. Whatever. I don't really know. Oh, there she is. Come with me. Come on. No.
Bonjour, madame. May I offer my condolences for your loss?
Thank you, Detective, but they are not necessary. What can I do for you?
Why is she so mean?
I was hoping you would be prepared to answer some questions.
If I must.
Why would someone want to kill me?
I'm sure you're aware he was not the easiest man to get along with. His hot temper made him a number of foes.
A hot temper is reason enough to kill a man.
His mouth often acted before his brain. Perhaps someone had grown tired of dealing with it.
You suggest why someone might kill him, but who do you...
Seeing as I heard Mr. Becker's in what I would describe as an unnecessarily loud exchange of words yesterday, he would be my first suspect.
You heard them yourself.
How could I not? The volume they were shouting at, I could hear them from the study in my room.
You did not think it fitting to tell me this yesterday?
I didn't think Felix was going to wind up dead and a murderer loose in my house. My apologies, Detective.
She's kind of a bitch. Though I must learn more of this argument, it is not Madame that I expect the answers to come from. Rather, Becker's. He has a great deal of explaining to you. A letter was found in the major study.
I assume you are talking about the supposed blackmail letter.
Oui, madame. You know of it?
It arrived shortly after the first. Rather coincidental, if you ask me.
I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say, madame.
He no doubt had secrets hidden away. But do you honestly think Felix had anything of value to his name worth threatening him for?
Perhaps you should enlighten me.
Well, he was here, living in my house, eating my food, prepared by my staff. Does that answer your question?
How do you think the major came to have the letter?
I wouldn't put it past him to have written it himself, in the hopes of getting some sympathy from me.
Okay.
And the other letters?
He probably wrote those too. If Angeline paid the first, that would have given him the money to pay the second letter. He is the White Knight, saves the day, and expects to live here happily ever after.
Didn't expect Madame Vondash to be so blunt. With their thoughts toward the major, I was under the impression there was more there than friendship, no less. It is quite the whatever. Okay. Nefarious, Jesus, plan that Madame lays out, but the major... For the major, I'm not sure I believe he would go to such levels of deceit. I'm sure Madame Mademoiselle Angela will have an opinion on the matter. I'd like to ask you about...
What is it you wish to know?
You two have been friends for some time now. And while I do not mean to pry, has your relationship only...
If you are trying to insinuate that Mr. De Silva and I are running around like schoolchildren, you could not be further from the truth. He was friends with my husband, for goodness sake.
That doesn't mean shit.
Oui, I understand they worked together. Investments, if I am correct.
Mr. De Silva was the voice of reason that my husband should have listened to more often, instead of throwing our money at businesses that were already on the verge of bankruptcy.
Merci, madame.
I think the kitchen is this way. Oh, street food.
Ah,
To the kitchen. To the kitchen.
That one's good.
Yeah. Or saw, I should say. Not that I heard. See if there's anything in use in the kitchen. Pots and pans.
ah.
Used them for quite some time, judging by their condition. What the fuck is the button?
Bonjour, madame. You must be the wonderful cook.
Wonderful and modest, sir. I am Rihanna.
My taste buds thank you for the ravishing meal last night. It has been some time since I ate so well.
Glad to hear it, sir.
Have you determined who it was?
I think it was either multiple other people or Florette
Multiple other people.
of the people. What?
Multiple of the people?
Multiple people.
Of
like,
the yeah. That doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't. You're correct. Or it was Floretta, whatever the fuck that bitch is from the first one. With the help of a few of them.
S'il te plaît, madame.
So
The
multiple
that case-
killers.
Mademoiselle
Yes.
is fine for me.
Either
I will
led
ignore
by
your
that bitch or
presumption of
not.
marriage.
Okay. Just checking.
Très bon, mademoiselle.
Have you been with Van den Bosch family for quite some time?
That's right.
Van Dam?
I've seen
Random-
staff come and
what was
go.
that?
But a house always needs a trustworthy cook.
I agree.
This
But if I was to
reminds me
eat
a
what
lot
you prepare
of
every
the-
day,
well, not
I
like
fear
this,
I
but
may be the size
just
of
for
La
kind of
Maison.
cooking notes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of my books and it makes me want to read them.
Which books?
Hold on.
Not a bad thing, detective.
The first
You
three
could do with some
of
meat on your
the-
bones.
They have maids and cooks.
So you have the Mortal Instruments,
Yep.
and then you have the three that are well now
Like
there's
the
6.
prequels.
Yeah, the prequels. So the
Okay.
first 3 though, I love those first 3 with Jem and Will and Tessa.
Well, with the snow still not clearing, we may be stuck here for the weekend. Or perhaps I should look to adjust my pantalon buttons.
I understand you took some ice from the major yesterday.
I did. Monsieur Archie told me what had happened. Bruises can swell fast, so I took him some ice to bring it down.
Strange, Madame. Not Madame.
Madame
Muzir.
Lestrange.
No, Muzir. What the fuck the dude's name is? Really? Really?
What?
You?
What about me?
Tell me that they're
How
question.
was the Major when you saw him?
Grumpy, as always.
I suppose one would not take kindly to being punched as he was.
Punched or not, he was as ungrateful as ever.
I shall not keep you any longer.
Sorry, I just realized that's probably super annoying. Okay, before I talk to anybody else, let's do or let's see if there's any that need to be connected. Oh, there's one. Let's see if we found a help here. Major. Here I had worked with him for years. Major Sandra believes like where
will not get me in.
Maybe it's these two then. Oh, maybe it's these two.
Some would say a lucky guess.
I guess they have different impressions of the major. There must be a reason for this. Angeline. That's Kitty.
Is there something I can help you with, detective?
Ma'am, do not describe her friendship with Major in such a positive light.
You have got the wrong end of the stick, detective. Maman has snapped at him recently, but it was nothing more than that. It was something to do with the letter. I heard them in the library before Maman shouted and he stormed out of the room past me.
Could it have been the blackmail letter that instigated their argument?
What do you do?
It's don't worry about what I'm doing. You just focus on your game.
Get it.
Why would Maman be upset with him over the letter?
Madame is of a very different opinion from yourself regarding his connection with the letters. She believes him to be the author.
That is what she told you? She has always been one to make a quick, if not rash decision, but she cannot truly believe that.
Was the Major aware you had paid the first background letter?
I don't recall telling him directly. I did not want Maman to find out it had been paid. If he knew, surely she would.
Madame believes he may have been behind all the letters, and taking your payment of the first, then used it to pay the second and be the hero in you and your mother's eyes.
I never knew Maman had such an imagination. Where would she get a story like that from?
That is a question I was hoping you may be able to answer.
You have met him. Do you really think he's capable of such a devious plan?
It is a plan only the most crooked and underhanded could create. Is that the Major? I am not so sure.
The more I think of the amendments, or the more ridiculous I'm scared of, that does not mean it can be ruled out.
I shall not keep you any longer.
What?
I cannot see the logic.
I could just imagine that again, but
Is there something?
how come there's vibrating?
That's me. Could be a certain bug.
What? Oh. What ridiculous.
I must take a different
What the
approach.
fuck is it? Oh. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Another success.
I wonder if the blackmail had a greater effect on their relationship than expected. I get to talk to her again.
Is there something I...
Does the arrival of the blackmail letter will cause the tension between Madame and the Major's relationship?
I'm afraid it had been that way for some time. Maman is not forthcoming with her emotions, as I'm sure you are aware. But I could tell she had not been happy with their arrangement for the last few months.
What gave you that impression?
There was not one particular thing that she expressed. It was just the way she spoke to him and of him when he wasn't present.
I shall not keep you any longer.
Okay. I talked to everybody. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. Guess we're gonna just talk to Gideon. What the?
Bonjour, Monsieur Damir.
Detective Poirot.
The truth, Monsieur. With each step towards uncovering the blackmailer, I am thrown 2 steps back as to the identity of the Major's killer.
Is there something I can help you with?
After investigating the crime scene yesterday, I asked to move the body.
Archibald came to me and asked for my help in the matter. My brother and I dealt with it.
Merci for your help. It is a job that only the professionals should have to undertake.
It's a job that had to be done, although it may have affected my brother more than I.
How so?
At the sight of the body, the color drained from his face. Once we had reached the cellar, Zachariah took himself straight off to bed,
Zachariah.
without even a good night.
On the study, I noticed the major's safe was locked. Would you know who has access?
Felix and Madame Vandenbosch are the only ones with keys, as far as I'm aware. Oh, and Archibald. I'm sure I heard Felix asking him to return something to it once.
I wonder why he did not mention this previously. I spoke about this morning.
I have not seen him since last night. I'm sure he will have been fine after a good night's sleep.
Imagine the alcohol could have acted as a sufficient.
He does not need his younger brother checking in on him.
Perhaps that is exactly what he requires.
I'm not sure what he told you yesterday, Detective, but he's a big boy. He can look after himself.
I worry that may not be the case, monsieur. His time in the war came up in conversation more than once during our conversations.
He's still talking about it. I thought talking to the doctor would have stopped all of that.
Merci.
I'm not gonna ask the doctor. Seems a little funny.
Comtesse, I wonder if...
That is it, detective? No small talk? No inflating of one's ego?
I am afraid not, Comtesse. With a murderer still loose in the house, my mind is rather preoccupied.
Well then, detective, perhaps I can be of some assistance.
Comment, madame?
I thought you might like to know what I found on the Major's body.
Your demand to know who gave the permission to see the body.
That certainly piqued your interest.
A man has been murdered, and you find it acceptable to fool around and joke.
Oh, please, detective. Do you really think so little of me? Archibald asked for my assistance. He knows of my medical training from my days as a nurse, and I thought I would be able to help. Even if it has been some years.
It was not his place to grant you access to the body.
I shall remember to keep my assistance to myself next time. The single stab wound, which you no doubt already knew. The knife was held in their right hand. I would say their predominant hand.
I pride myself on order and method, and this is far from either. A suspect in a murder investigation has examined the very victim that they already suspected of killing. It is like something of crime novel.
Judging by the depth of the wound, I would say there was no great force put into the strike. More a sign of defense than attack. If I had to say what weapon was used, a small sharp knife or dagger.
This may confirm my suspicions of the major knife being used to kill
I
him.
understand it may be difficult for one to keep such information to yourself, but I ask you to try. Your involvement has already tainted my investigation.
Uh-ohs.
You are welcome, detective.
My superior officer hears of the going-ons in this house. I will surely be seeing the green fields of the countryside once more. I must do all I can do to redeem the reputation I have worked to build, starting with finding the killer.
S'il vous plaît, Comtesse. Keep this information to yourself.
Let's do order. 1, 0. Let's just go here. Okay, we talked to the major, Zachariah.
Magnifique.
I have heard of men returning physically from war, but their minds remain on the battlefield. It's actually called PTSD now. In case anyone was wondering, not called shell shock.
If it will help you find the Major's killer, of course.
Your brother was seen it after.
When he returned from the war, he was a different man. Everything became about what he had seen.
I cannot speak from experience, but I can only imagine the horrors he must have witnessed.
He was in the war.
The first weeks he would wake in the night, screaming. I found him one night, cowering behind the desk in the study. When I tried to help him out from beneath it, well, it was the first time I had ever feared for my life.
That is not why you two are no longer close?
And not at all, Detective. We were always very different in nature. While I had always wanted to follow an academic path, Zachariah was more of a free spirit. Or at least as free as our father and the laws would allow.
And yet, he ended up in the military. Quite the contrast.
Our father demanded that he at least try to do something with his life. And when some of his friends joined the army, he signed up with them. It wasn't long before he moved out from the family home after his return from the army. I always assumed that he had put the war and everything that came with it behind him and was moving on. Now I see that is far from the truth.
I believe I gathered everything that is required. It's just me gaining access to the major study.
Whatever you need.
I wish I expect this.
Certainly, Detective.
To the study we go, study we go. Crashed body wrapped, removed, which had been done. Thankfully, what else is going on in here? Someone was obviously looking for something in the particular major document. These accounts have been thoroughly ruffled through. Major recently taken out a large loan, and an interest rate is astronomical.
Oh.
Mr. Man, side by side, this is striking. Mirror, okay. The fucking husband was ripped out. It's present in the picture, but has been folded out. I did not think there was any hostility in the major and the late was cut.
Huh.
Addressed to the major with no return address. A strange chicken ecstasy yesterday, but it has been left wide open. Scratches are obvious around the lock. Someone in this house so you see the safe's contents. Have sealed letter addressed to Madame Van Bosch from the major. I am not one to read others' private mail, but under circumstances. I feel, my dearest Cassandra, it feels as though it has been an age since I have been able to set my eyes on you. A day I have waited for so impatiently. I keep the photograph of us together at the lake close to my heart. Always, I cannot wait to see how young Angeline has grown. Her beauty will surely soon reach that of her mother's. I hope the gifts from the Orient reached you fine. They are really something to behold. The work that has kept me away for so long is drawing to a close, and I will be returning to the continent within a month. At your request, I have found accommodations in the city. It is pains me to think of being so close and yet unable to be with you every moment, but if it eases your worry, I shall not continue to question it. I will arrange for a visit to the house. An old friend returning will surely raise minimal suspicion. I understand that the Viscount is also currently out of the country. I hope you have not felt the strain of loneliness take over, and it will not be long until we are reunited. Until that day, until the end of mine, my heart is yours. I think that's supposed to say the end of time, but it says the end of mine. Interesting. Seems a great deal of random explanation that she was told. That is clear that from this letter there was an affection for one another. More than that, friendship for some time. It mentions the young and Angeline suggests it may go back as far as 20 years. Dun 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 dun. Is that it? Let's check the horror.
Who's the killer?
I don't know. But what I have found out is that
I must act on it.
that you are loud.
Don't worry about it.
Don't tell me what to and to not worry about. don't know.
Order and method.
I don't know what this could be.
Come, my little Grace. Things are beginning to become...
Random photos of them, along with Angelina's attachment to him, proves he cared deeply for them. Okay, now I have two things Major cared about.
Come, my little Gracel.
Okay, maybe
Is there something... I must take a different... What a revelation!
Major would do everything to remain in the comfortable life he accustomed to, but would he stoop so low as to fake a blackmail letter? Probably not. Just kidding.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally...
The Major paid the letter that was addressed to him. He must have been worried enough that something would be released to the public, but why?
I must act on thought. This will not get me... Things are beginning to become...
I didn't realize that was on there. The evidence showed the Major was not the author of the blackmail letter. Major was a victim, just like Angeline. Whoever it is that is penning these letters knows a great deal about many people. I wonder how many more have received similar letters. Objective complete. Do I have anything for those? No. The Major and the ransom have been resolved. The Major has been blackmailed. Letters are not written by his hand. What remains unsolved is why the Major was being blackmailed. Two cases of extortion under one roof. The question of the relationship must be asked. The Major's secret is anything but obvious from his letter. I now have the blackmailer and a murderer, and their weapon is to find. If the correct process is to follow, they shall be found swiftly. I should take my leave. This room is already revealed enough insight. Okay.
Detective Poirot, I have been asked to inform you that Lady Vandenbosch has returned to her room, and she wishes not to be disturbed.
Merci. Madame certainly has mastered the art of subtlety.
They may not be the exact words she used, but I'm sure you can imagine. Excuse me, I have some further duties to attend to in the pantry.
Perhaps I should take some issues to search the top floor. There's no one to disturb me. There is one room that holds I should inspect the storage room while I have this rare opportunity. Okay. That's Cassandra's bedroom. Collection of books. Oh, no. Let's go. Where's the storage room? Found it. Children's toys.
Huh.
Collection of children's toys, such a shame to see them stowed away and not being enjoyed. Seeing they've been kept in the storage room, they are almost perfect condition. Maybe a belonging of anything. Monsieur, it's obviously been read a great number of times, judging by the condition of this participation. Tragic, demographic, but I understand it's quite popular amongst the younger audience. To the real lady of the house, happy birthday. Watching you grow into a proper young lady has been more than words can describe. Oh, my love, Felix. It's such a heartful message written by Major and is the usual inscription from a family friend. What if he okay. Cannot seem to get straight answers from anyone regarding the Major. I know he's been friends with Madame Van Den Bosch for some years, and I must find out if there's anything more.
Order and method. I cannot see the logic. Is there something?
Oh.
Magnifique.
This Major have lived rather comfortably in so many years. Anything else over here? Just
Ah,
use it whenever he's working. Yep, we're moving. What if Cassandra was together? Dun 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 dun. Speak with Angelina. She should be able to give us valuable pieces to the puzzle.
Detective Poirot, are you any closer to uncovering the truth of Felix's involvement with the letters?
I am, mademoiselle. I can confirm that he was not the author of the blackmail letters.
So the author is still out there.
Oui, but it will not be long before they are apprehended, and the only letters they shall be penning will be from behind iron bars.
Your confidence is rather assuring. Thank you, Detective.
Your comment about the current guest stayed with me last night.
I'm sorry, Detective. I did not intend to leave your mind so full of thoughts.
No apology is required. It actually made me question my whole chain of thinking. What if there had been a collusion between them, and the Major's murder was planned, organized, and orchestrated to make the investigation seem almost impossible?
Oh my, Detective, that is quite a theory.
Every guest has a motive. You confirm that with the mention of Mademoiselle Conrad and the Major's fight. Supplying one another with a rock-solid alibi would surely throw off any detective.
But not you.
Correct, mademoiselle. It would take much more to stamp Detective Poirot.
While searching the storage room, I found a book that I assumed was a gift from Major D.
I haven't seen that book in so long. Yes, it was a gift for my 10th birthday. I have read it from cover to cover countless times. He left such a lovely inscription too.
It sounds as though there is a side to the Major I did not get to see. Was it common for him to bring you gifts?
Not common, but if he had been away for some time, he would bring me a small memento from his travels. He hasn't done that in some time, though.
The toys that were with the book were also gifts from me?
They were. I'm afraid they may have gathered some dust being in the storage room for so long. I kept them in hope of giving them to my child when the time comes.
It sounds as though he had always cared about you.
His presence at the house was comforting for us both after Father died, even if sometimes he was a little too overprotective.
I spoke last night of the Major support of Madame.
That's right. Ever since I can remember, Felix has been around.
It seems as though she has a number of support networks. The Major, her friendship with the Countess, not forgetting Monsieur da Silva.
Pay attention to your game.
Sorry, babe,
Maman
that's
has
interesting.
many friends. I know how she may seem to most, but once you break the hard shell,
There is a further shell waiting to be broken.
Oh, very good, detective.
Forgive me, mademoiselle. I only jest.
It's quite alright. You're not the only one that feels a razor tongue. She's grateful you are here, especially now, whether she shows it or not.
I'm still yet to see this version of Madame that she speaks of. I'm not sure I will get my hopes up for a budding friendship. Speaking with Consent yesterday, she did not have the greatest opinion of the Major.
They have often come to blows when it concerns Maman. They are both trying to protect her, but they themselves cannot seem to get along.
She spoke of his desire to join the, how do you describe it? Social elite.
This isn't the first time she has vocalized that concern. She thinks the Major was just using our family name to make his way to the top.
Oh, could be.
And you do not agree?
I will not deny he has shown interest in Maman's social circles, but they have been friends since even before I was born. Surely all those years of friendship was not just to raise his social standing.
Does not believe what she had said about the Major. Perhaps it is jealousy that drives her scandalous theory. It may be so bold that the Major contributed to the house.
How do you mean, detective?
I imagine a house of this size is rather costly, keeping it in the immaculate condition it is in.
Maman looks after the financial side of the house, but I think she has had to ask him more than once for a contribution of sorts. It is not for me to get involved.
I shall not keep you any longer.
Everything that needs Bushman out of her secret. They nothing. We're gonna go to Starbar in our bedroom.
Detective Poirot, what do you think you are doing in here?
I have something I wish to discuss with you.
What if it was her?
Well, I hope it is important enough to justify barging into one's bedroom.
It was her.
I assure you it is.
I'm saying, like, what if it was her with a group of them killing him?
Good, because this has gone on far too long. We are snowed in this house while a murderer runs amok.
I can understand your frustrations, but it is not as simple as...
You were once an incompetent officer, and now it seems you are just as incompetent as a detective.
If I was not being lied to and misled at every turn, perhaps the murderer would already be in custody.
I hope you are not suggesting I had something to do with Felix's murder.
I am suggesting that if I had the support that everyone claims they are offering, we would be in a very different situation.
Ooh, snap.
If you have something you want to ask, I suggest you ask me now.
I was not aware the Major had been so close to your daughter. I would like to ask you later.
We met before Angeline was born, so he was often at the house when she was growing up.
And where was it you two met?
I was attending an event. Felix was also in attendance as a serving officer. A conversation was struck.
So, it was not through the Viscount that you two met?
I did not require my husband to start conversations on my behalf.
It was you that instigated it then?
My, detective. That active imagination of yours has taken you on quite some journey.
There is a tempting to deflect from the subject. She obviously does not feel comfortable discussing it.
Edwin spent much of his time away on business before Angeline was born. Felix was a welcome distraction from the loneliness of the house.
You were alone in the house?
The staff continued their duties, of course, but trying to get any sort of sophisticated or cultured conversation from them was like drawing blood from a stone.
And when Angeline was born?
Edwin remained at home. It was his duty as a father.
And the Major?
He had his own business and life to tend to. But we remained in touch.
Could you give me
via
water?
letter. Around the time of Edwin's
Can
passing,
you give me water?
Felix had relocated to the area.
It's incredibly coy on behalf of the religion she offers, but this, with her death, the Major's return surely a mere coincidence. It's not too far-fetching.
I'm sure he has hundreds of letters in there. Most of them could and should have been thrown away a long time ago. You are going to have to be more specific.
I refer to the letter addressed to you. The one of a romantic nature.
Romantic nature. Please, detective. Felix did not have a romantic bone in his body.
When the fuck did you do that? Never mind. I don't need a water bottle then. I thought it was empty.
He made his intentions quite clear in the letter. I must admit, I myself was surprised.
You really do have quite the active imagination, detective. If that is how you wish to interpret it, so be it. But I can assure you, the Major did not think of me that way, and certainly did not include it in a letter.
I think that is all for now.
Okay, well, that's a lie. Yeah. Can I check out her drawer? I want to check out her drawers. What is it gonna say? Well, then what the fuck? Why can I look at it then, you fuck cunts? Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm going for
I must take a different
would
approach
that
if I
not
am
go
to
together? Maybe something.
I cannot see the logic in this. This will not get me any closer to... Order and method. I must act on thought and...
Again, then none of this makes any sense.
Come, my little grey cells. I should not be surprised by my own skills of the...
Gone, the Major stepped up and acted as father figure to her. Okay, so let me flip through one of these.
The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming to...
Okay. It is obvious that the Major cared for Cassandra than just anyone. There's something on my mouse. I guess I shouldn't have left her bedroom. Oops. Didn't realize I was on the Tongan origin.
Is this really necessary?
You were acting the Major and we were curious to why would you... Why would he keep a photograph of you and her hidden?
He may have stayed in my home, but Felix was a grown man, detective. What he kept, hidden or otherwise, has nothing to do with me.
But it does not surprise you that he had such a photograph?
We have been friends, and he has been there for Angeline for many years, but you find it strange that he keeps a reminder of us? Perhaps that says more about you, detective.
What I do find strange is that if he did hold a flame for you, why he would never express it.
If he did, it was not reciprocated. I have not even considered another since my husband's passing. Not that it is any of your business.
I think that is all for now.
Let's see.
This will not get me any... cannot see the logic in this. Perhaps I must take a different...
What the fuck? Oh.
What a revelation!
And he tries to deny Cassandra shared the major feeling in Smith City. Oh my god, I have to keep talking to her. I hate talking to her. She's a bitch.
Is this really... Who I allow in my house is none of your business. I do not have to explain anything to you.
I did not think you were one for charity.
I would not expect you to think much of anything. There is no need to talk on it any further, but I'm sure you will remember that, financially speaking, we have had our issues.
Well, even sending to confront Madame Bernard should approach the questions that I must answer. She will no doubt be defensive when pushed, but it may be the only way. She will not give up any information easily.
He was a man that required no protection, Detective, especially from me.
That is the impression I had of him, which is why your defensive stance warrants questioning.
Your insistent questioning on such trivial matters are getting on my last nerve. There is a murderer and a blackmailer to be found. That is your job here. Your continued probing into something that does not exist is becoming quite tiresome. There is nothing I can tell you that will magically present what you are looking for. I have grown weary of this conversation.
Madame, you continue to withhold the truth.
And you continue to get on my last nerve. I am not obliged to tell you every detail of my private life.
But when it impedes my investigation...
If only you were this focused on finding the blackmailer...
Madame.
Very well. I did not lie about how we met. I was attending an event, raising money for... Oh, I cannot recall now. It had been some time since I had returned home, and was rather missing English soil. I was aware of Felix's invitation, or at least that there was to be several British officers attending the party, and that is where our friendship began. He was a warm reminder of home, and I enjoyed conversing with him. We shared walks in the park and read together. As I said, he was a welcome distraction from the days spent alone. I shall go no further with the details, but I will say, I had no intention on being unfaithful to my husband. It was never our plan to go that far. Once I found out I was pregnant, I knew it had to stop.
The Viscount never questioned Mademoiselle's birth?
In his mind, he had no reason to, and he shouldn't have had to. It was my mistake to bear.
Oh.
If he knew the truth, our lives would have been ruined.
Angeline was fucking Major's daughter? Yeah.
I told Felix that he was to stay away, but he had no intention to. He became an uncle figure to Angeline, and they grew closer after Edwin's death. I could not tell her the truth. Too much time had passed.
Damn. God.
The secret remained only between him and I.
And what were the Major's thoughts on revealing the truth?
He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted her to know exactly who he was. But I told him no. It would not have been the poignant reconciliation that he expected. She would not understand. I tried to retrieve them from the safe after everyone had retired last night. But when I opened the safe, they were nowhere to be found. I assumed he must have hidden them somewhere else.
When I entered the study this morning, they were as visible as a red notice on a police station wall.
I would appreciate if you did not compare them to the face of a wanted felon.
Pardon, madame.
But that does mean someone else in the house has seen them. I don't understand. Why would they return them?
A mystery that is still yet to be solved.
Madame was beaten to the safe by someone else. It seems you also have a thief within these walls to add to the list of criminals, but a thief that returns your spoils? I assume this is a secret that has been used for ransom.
It must be. But I have told no one.
And the Major?
Felix promised me he wouldn't tell a soul, and I believed him. But even if he wanted to.
Major let it slip once throughout the years, perhaps in an intoxicated state, a secret that many would seek an opportunity to gain.
You did not think anyone knew, and that is why you disregarded the letter.
If you bow to these criminals, they will only try to claw more from you.
True. Just
I think that is all for now.
Since a certain connection between the Major and the ransom has been resolved, the Major was being blackmailed. The letters were not written by his hand. Didn't we already fucking know that? Remains unsolved is why the Major is being blackmailed. 2 cases of extortion under one roof. The question of the relationship must be asked. The Major's secret is anything but obvious from his letters. And you have a blackmailer, a murderer, and their weapon to find in a quick position. Okay, I already read that. I had my suspicions that Madame Van Den Bosch and Major share a romantic relationship, and I expect to the revelation of his connection to Angeline. I am now one of the very few that holds her secret.
Detective Poirot, how is your investigation coming?
Monsieur Starling, I must admit,
This is a weird
I
one.
have learned much more than I was
I haven't seen
expecting
him
to.
from the thing.
You'll be wrapping the case up soon, then.
One has never finished learning, monsieur, and in this case, I shall need to continue if I am to find the Major's killer.
It might help to vocalize your thinking. I'm all ears.
It offers an interesting concept. If I want to state a current position of my investigation while holding back certain truths, the guilty party may realize I am hot on their heels.
Monsieur, would you gather the guests and staff in the salon?
Right away, Detective. Can I ask for what reason?
I shall reveal all once everyone is together.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm going to chapter 6 now, guys. Should I stop now or continue?
It's up to you.
I think I'll continue. I'll do this one and then I'll stop. If you could stop playing the ribbon piano, that'd be great.
Detective, what is the meaning of all this?
Madame, I ask that you all lend me your ears for only a few moments. What I have to say is of great significance to everyone. You are all invited here to celebrate the engagement of Mademoiselle Angeline Van Den Bosch and Monsieur Gédéon Demire, the coming together of 2 prevalent families. But the celebrations were short-lived, as Major Felix Hagen was found dead in his study by a young servant of the house. It then became my responsibility and obligation as a detective to uncover the truth behind his demise. My initial examination of his study exposed a number of things I did not expect to find. Things I have no desire to divulge at this time, but what I can say is this. It was no simple murder. A letter demanding ransom for a continued silence confirmed this. I am sure some, if not all of you, have heard whispers of a series of blackmails that have plagued the social elite in recent weeks. After hearing of the letters in the Major's study, you may ask if it was him behind the letters. You may further ask if he was preparing his next threat to another unsuspecting victim. It is a question that crossed even my mind. That was until I sought the truth. That in fact it was the Major that had fallen victim to our blackmailer Mystérieux. Last night I spoke with you all, confirmed your whereabouts in the house over the course of the evening, and while I would have expected such questioning to reveal a potential suspect, what I learned was that it could not have been one of you.
What do you mean, not one of us? The man was stabbed. He hardly did that to himself.
There is still a killer in the house.
Pardon, monsieur, if you would allow me to finish. It could not have been only one of you. Rather a partneria, a partnership, in cahoots, if you will. Conversations today have revealed facts that I was not expecting to discover. And although they may have muddied and complicated my investigation, what I must do to bring the guilty parties to justice has become clearer. Those of you that spun stories in an attempt to confuse and derail my investigation have made a grave mistake in underestimating my intelligence. Other detectives may fall for such deception, but I can assure you, Detective Poirot is no such fool. My investigation is far from over, and swift justice shall be dealt to those that have committed such appalling acts and have continued to mislead and lie to protect themselves. Now, I must continue mon enquête, and I shall leave you to consider that you may be beside a cold-hearted killer. Bonsoir. Monsieur Sterling, un moment.
What the fuck?
Quite the speech, detective.
Quote, quote.
Merci, but it was not made to entertain. More to warn the guilty parties that I am hot on their heels, no matter how clever they believe themselves to be.
Well, if there is anything I can do.
I have to search the guest bedroom?
Is that really necessary?
The murderer remains at large, and there is still no sign of the weapon. I would say that makes them essential.
Of course. I still just cannot imagine any of them being guilty of his murder.
It may be hard to imagine, but it is the truth.
When you returned to the city last night, did you notice anything different from the previous visit?
Nothing. But I was so preoccupied with the Major. Sorry, detective. Should I have?
Perhaps it was just my mind playing games again.
Maybe one of the guests got lost and wandered in.
I guess they'd taken a wrong turn finding themselves in the Major's bedroom first. I'm sure they would not have proceeded to the next door unless they were not lost at all. Who has access to the safe in the Major's study?
Master Hagen had a key, obviously, and Lady Vandenbosch.
It's quite sure, but also had a copy of the key and nothing being easy to forget.
When requested, aye. If something is required from there when Master Hagen is not around.
Forgive me. If he is not around, how is it you access the safe?
It's not what you think, detective.
What I think is that you have been trusted with a copy of the key, and you have lied to me about it.
I only lied because of the trouble I can get into with Lady Vandenbosch.
At this moment, monsieur, you should be more worried about the trouble you shall find yourself in with the law.
I know how it will sound, but I lost my key. I must have set it down somewhere, and it has been tidied away. Master Hagen asked so rarely for me to go in the safe, I didn't think it would be missed.
Transfer's last key strikes me as rather coincidental. The Major safe was broken into. Documents were inside the letters involving she lived out as a crime and no apparent purpose. There is a matter regarding...
I should have said this morning. I'm sorry.
Monsieur, I am not quite sure you understand the severity of what has happened.
I am well aware, detective. I just thought she would be able to help.
Would you allow a man with a smoking gun to remove his bullet from a victim's chest?
I suppose not.
I understand that. It's only trying to help, but surely must have seen what it can do.
I would like to begin my searches now. Since it is closest, I will start with the west wing.
I may not be back when you return. Here is the key to the other rooms. Please return it when you're done.
Merci. I shall guard it with my life.
First, let us pay. Before I can accuse anyone of a crime, I must be sure that they are working alone or with another. This is perfect opportunity to find evidence or of any conclusion and look for a murder weapon. should make myself known before I do.
Entrez. Detective, what a pleasure. I did not expect to see you in my chambers.
In a purely professional capacity, I can assure you.
There is no need to act so stiff, Detective.
Madame, after the revelation of your actions last night, I'm afraid my sense of humor is all but gone.
I will not apologize again for merely trying to help. Shall we get straight to it then? Let us not waste your time any further, Detective.
I saw you conversing with one of the young servants.
That would be Inga. She has been one of the most promising young women that has come from the shelter.
Madame Vandenbosch took in a young lady from your shelter.
There is no need to sound so surprised, Detective. She does have a heart.
I did not mean to sound so cruel. I just did not expect Madame to hire someone of that background after the incident with her previous maid, Florette.
People change, Detective. You should not judge someone on their past actions.
Believe me, Countess, I know that only too well.
I commend you on your dedication with the women you help. It is most honorable.
Be careful, Detective. That almost sounded like a compliment.
It is your actions in this house that have been questionable, Madame. Your work outside is something that many more could take note of.
We do what we can.
Have you been able to find many of the girls from the shelter work?
We wouldn't be doing a very good job if I could only help one girl. I in fact found work for one of them as a maid in Monsieur da Silva's house recently.
She has fitted into Monsieur's home well.
What is better, Detective? That she remained in an abusive house? Or she is able to rebuild her life with an honest wage in a prosperous house?
When put like that, is she happy in her position?
The happiest she has been in years. I check in with them all as often as possible. And if there was a problem, I would know.
I'm glad to hear that more girls are building a better future for themselves, and it has helped with the commitment that I'd be able to help.
Merci. Oh.
I'm so present for the family.
Oh.
Thank you for their hospitality.
Oh.
Okay, whatever.
Aha.
Everyone manages plus hers and decided to pair scissors. Murder weapon.
Aha.
Go ahead, Detective.
Perhaps I was a little rash with my response.
A compliment and now an apology. Well,
There was something I was still unsure of. You mentioned that your training was some years ago.
from my days as a nurse, oui.
If that is so, why would you have brought several pieces of equipment usually
One must always be prepared, Detective.
prepared at an engagement celebration?
If I had not brought them, I would not have been able to assist you last night. Perhaps you should be thankful for my precaution and not so suspicious.
Had she not brought them at all, I would not have to ask such a question. I'm trying to sit cross-legged, but you can't. Awkward.
Merci, madame.
Merci, madame. Let's do our and then I will. Oh, never mind, there's nothing in there. The ever-guarded Jacqueline Conrad. This time I should question her on her conversation with the maid before searching her room. How about that, search her room?
Detective, what can I do for you?
Mademoiselle, I am sure you understand my reasoning for such intrusion.
If it's going to clear my name, be my guest.
If you wouldn't mind answering some questions, it can hopefully be cleared fast.
And start with the relationship with the Major.
Like I said, he's not the man he wants everyone to think he is.
Oui. But how is it you came to that conclusion?
You don't really want me to recount every conversation I've had with him, do you?
There is one particular I had in mind.
Tell me like an argument.
An argument would imply it was a two-way conversation.
And that is not how it was?
Here it is. I've been helping Angeline get exposure, her marriage to Gideon is big news, and his work is really paving the way for others. I saw the chance to get their names out there, and he didn't like it.
What was there not to like?
Your guess is as good as mine, Detective. But if I had to, I'd say he was jealous it wasn't his name at the top of the article.
And his reason to storm off?
Oh, you know about that. Let's just say I didn't accept his pathetic attempt to get me to stop the story. If you're gonna try and pay someone off, at least make it worth their while.
Though the Major would only be supportive of Angeline, there must be more to why he would not want her success to be done. I'm sure you've grown weary of the subject, but...
You've really got a fascination with that guy, huh?
I would not say
I don't know
fascination.
if I like her either.
An interest, perhaps.
Well, I'll save you the bother of trying to find out more about him. He's not that interesting. In fact, he's a bit of a wimp if you ask me.
That is not the impression I got of him.
That's because you've only seen the side of him he wants you to. He knows what to say in front of the right people. But behind closed doors, he's clueless.
Who's the one way?
Let me guess. The first thing he told you was that he was a union leader. No, the voice of the people.
A man that is proud of his work is not something to be sneered at.
Don't get me wrong, he has a way with words, and he can certainly rally a crowd. But that's about it. At the end of the day, he's a representative and nothing more. He's got to play the part, not just learn the lines.
Does not think particularly high of Beckers. She's a strong, independent woman. I'm a strong, independent woman. Just kidding.
Noted.
Shut up. But to use the term wimp is an unnecessary attack on his character. I would agree.
Merci, mademoiselle.
Sure thing, Detective. And
If I do change it, you shall be the first to know. Ah,
When Jackie has set up a makeshift office in a room, she must bring her work with her everywhere. Mr. Whatever spotted leaving the valet ticket Friday at 23:15. The house has been poaching off neighboring land, boar, deer, and duck. Maggie to follow up. Miss Bonnet found her husband in their marital bed with a young maidservant. Testament from maid needed. Mr. Denault overheard the Culking Crow speaking poorly of King Leopold. He said questionable ideas. We say doubtful, spectacle, shady. Note from Francis by Monday.
huh.
About Jackie Conrad about the riot linked to the factory. Peaceful strike turned loose of lives as violence broke out on front line following the tragic event in the city that has darkened the spirit of the people and brought to a screeching halt the rising defense of the working class. The area has been cornered off and police presence at the scene has increased. Factory security forces have been asked to step down and the powers handed over to law enforcement services. Workers laid down their tools, switched off all machinery, and stood together shoulder to shoulder as the fight for fair pay and conditions raged on. What started as peaceful protest by those employed at the factories has turned into a battle of class, with support of workers coming in from all over the city. Although reports have not been confirmed, sources state that violence broke out following a second wave surge of supporters. Official numbers have not been published, but it's believed that as many as 8 workers have lost their lives in the fighting. The workers' front line has been considered as a representation of people and working class of Belgium that now refuse to work in such demanding conditions for such a demanding and insignificant wage. Chief Laroux has confirmed that the outbreak of violence and resulting civilian deaths are being investigated, and an official statement is to be made in the coming days. Jacqueline Conrad. Let's just see if there's anything quick. No. I think I just talked to Jackie. Gotta sneeze.
Go right ahead.
I was surprised to learn work together.
All Felix cared about was money and filling his pockets with it. That's why he got into bed with De Silver.
The Major was not in need of money, though.
Need and want are 2 very different things. Did he need to move here and leech off the Madame? No, but he wanted to.
Tell me your opinion on their work together.
As far as I know, De Silver hired him to work security. He was worried what could happen to his precious factories if things got ugly.
And your reporters were there to cover the story when it did turn that way.
My reporters go where there is news to be told.
And you predicted the violence that occurred?
Anyone could see that was gonna happen. If you ask me, Hugo should have acted sooner.
Merci, mademoiselle.
I think I just gotta move on to the next bedroom. Yes, sir. In Gideon's room, I wonder what we shall find. There must not be in here. Is that getting it from my own? Okay. Photograph. Needs to be used closer. Perhaps their recent behavior was merely a facade. Could it possibly be getting Zachariah? Maybe. Oh, I thought it was in the can. Yeah, whatever. Maybe I should check theirs because there's open. No, never. It doesn't seem to be anything. Okay. I guess I should check everything just in case. Of course, it's gonna be some every time. I should make my way to the guest room to the east of the first floor. There must be evidence of collision somewhere. I think I needed to go in here. Oh, am I supposed to go upstairs now? Yeah, I am. Oh. Wait, what? parents again? Oh no, I can't.
Mademoiselle,
Bonjour, Monsieur Poirot. Pardon, detective.
just a detective is quite all right.
Bon, can I help you with something?
It was you, little dude.
I was taking him a plate of food, but he didn't answer to my knocking.
You then entered the study.
I did. He wasn't moving. He just lay there.
I did not mean to upset you again. Seeing him there would be troubling for anyone, and I'm sure it is not a memory you wish to relive.
Tell me more about your relationship with the others.
I suppose we're like a family. We argue, but most of the time we get along.
You must all be quite close then.
Some more than others.
You refer to whom, mademoiselle?
Well, Maman Rihanna, she's been here the longest, and she's very close with Lizzie on account of Luke.
Where's my romantic connection?
Maman is Luke's sister. You did not know that? I thought she would have said. She talks about him all the time. It must have been awful, losing him in those riots.
Why people shouldn't have fireworks now?
Apparently, he was right at the front when they were charged. They didn't stand a chance. If I had been the one responsible for his death, I wouldn't want Maman Ray looking for me.
Mademoiselle Rihanna, Maman Ray, she has expressed her desire for revenge.
Every time she talks about what happened.
This is the knowledge of Luke's death has eluded me for so long. Death of my brother certainly another motive. I did not see an aggressive side of her when we spoke, but I wonder if she would act on those impulses of revenge between cost. Do not mind me inquiring what brought you to a mutual.
I guess you wouldn't know anything about life on the streets.
It is not an experience I have had to face personally, but I understand that many are forced into it, and the lifestyle that comes with it.
The lifestyle of a thief, you mean?
Put rather bluntly, oui.
You are the first officer that has not taken one look at me and pulled out their handcuffs.
Mademoiselle, I can see you have turned your life around, and I commend you on your efforts.
Without the Countess, I would probably be rotting in a cell somewhere.
That was the alliance and the innocent below.
Merci, mademoiselle.
New wine. Something more than an instant maid, but there's something that she's withholding. Why? Why does that do such a artist? Okay, nothing. So again, my brother is maybe then we were searching his room.
Monsieur Demir, I hope you are feeling better today.
Nothing a good night's sleep couldn't fix.
Très bien. I wonder if you would be up to discussing certain matters with me.
Whatever you need.
Sorry, I was dealing with the body brought up any unfamiliar emotion.
I lost my taste for death a long time ago, but it had to be done. I'm certainly in no rush to be carrying a dead body again, though.
Most understandable. I shall extend the same gratitude to you as I did to your brother.
You've spoken to him already. How is he?
Perhaps that should be a question you ask him yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
You spoke with your brother about your past.
I bet he had a lot to say. He always did have an opinion on the war.
When I say your past, I refer to your past as brothers.
Oh. Okay, well, what did he say?
It seems you both had the same sentiment for this party. Perhaps the bridges that you thought were once burnt are in fact primed to be reconstructed.
We'll see how probable that reconstruction is going to be. Until he sees my point of view, I don't know how we can move forward.
What is there for him to understand before the bond can be repaired?
He lost his friends in the war, the same as everyone. But somehow he has forgiven. I'm sorry, Detective, I can't. Gideon just doesn't understand that.
After speaking with Gideon about his brother's state of mind, I think the best thing for them both will be a there is something about that great story that is not though the death of his friends and comrades was having on him. Your brother was talking with they were close.
Those two, close.
They must share something in common to be able to hold a conversation for the time they did.
If there is one thing I know about my brother, it's that he will not. No. He cannot be rude. He just doesn't have it in him.
Was it not your brother that punched Monsieur Hagen?
Ah, that's different. He was asking for it. If you put my brother in a room with 5 socialites like her, he would work his way around every single one of them, offering his full attention and finest manners.
Merci for your assistance. Aha.
First time in the war.
Huh.
What are the master robots discarded right next to the ashtray? Dun, 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 dun.
Always got time for my... The dagger. I wondered how long it would take for that to become an issue.
I shall give you the opportunity to explain the reason for it being here before I jump to any conclusions.
It was going to be a wedding gift for Gideon. I've maybe not been the best brother in recent years. I thought this could make up for some of it. After what happened to the Major, I thought it was a bit tasty.
You did not see it fitting to tell me you were harboring a rather sizable knife in your room?
I wouldn't say harboring. And I wasn't expecting to be a suspect in a murder.
Merci for your
I just want to figure out how to fucking murder this dude. Fighters without him here, I'm free to search it. Dun, 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 he's not here. There's making nothing for me to fucking look at. Note. Even attempting to write a speech as a line. Instantly, though, I wondered does it fit a pattern. You underestimate the power of man defenses. Your men, you are in position to bring all of it to an end. All we ask is what we deserve. If you do not react, your men, they will be met with equal force to forceful. Your weapons may beat our bodies, but they will not bruise our heart spirits. These are the men that have built our great nation, country, and will continue to. Money will not save your soul.
Oh.
How is describing regarding meeting with resume? I'm curious. No. Ooh, photograph.
Oh.
With so many summons must have been to get attention. Oh my god.
Aha.
Okay. Search.
Monsieur da Silva, I am sure you understand the necessity for this type of search.
Not really, Detective. Your speech was rather spirited. But it did not give me much faith in your investigation.
I have not had my abilities questioned to my face by one of those I suspect of a crime before.
Well, if you wish to prove me wrong, you should hurry up and find Felix's killer.
And I hope, with your help, monsieur, I shall.
Tim Bush spoke of your work with your late husband.
Yes, I helped him invest some money. Unfortunately, he was not the businessman he thought he was.
Madame van den Bosch had a very similar view. At least he could have taken solace that you were both in the same position.
I think you're confused, Detective. It was Edwin that lost his fortune, not I.
Forgive my naivete. If you were helping him make viable investments, would you not have seen the same opportunity for yourself?
I told him about the opportunities. I did not tell him to put his whole family's wealth into it. The prospect of doing good meant more to him than his profit margins. He was bound to fail.
The business declared bankruptcy.
It did, until it was purchased for a fraction of its worth and made the new owner a small fortune.
I'm beginning to see with this line. It's also as though Scott was trying to at least make a positive change, perhaps missing Cutthroat's edge. We spoke last night regarding...
Everything that I want to say on that matter has already been said.
I understand, monsieur. But what I would like to know is, was the late Viscount aware of your feelings towards his wife?
Excuse me, Detective, but you have crossed the line.
Crossed the line like an attempt to bankrupt a business partner and friend so that you'll be able to swoop in and impress a certain target of your affections.
You make such ridiculous accusations without a shred of proof.
Your reaction at the mere suggestion is proof enough, monsieur. While I cannot arrest you for betrayal of a friend, I can hope your conscience does not forget, and that will be punishment enough.
His actions are not in criminal offense, but they are penalty for deception and deceit. He would surely receive a life sentence. If he was gone as such things before, what would stop him from committing a similar act again, this time with the Major? To the Major. I know you have worked with the Major, but what do you know of his finances?
He didn't have much to speak of. I was always surprised at the life he lived.
Surprised in what way?
Well, considering it wasn't that long ago he came to me asking about work, I didn't think he was in such good financial shape.
You offered him a position?
Nothing that he was willing to lower himself to. That's when he began talking about what else he could do for me.
Major work security for your friend.
If you can call what him and his team did security. For the money I paid, I did not expect them to be so reckless.
It was a considerable amount you paid him?
There's no need to divulge amounts, but it was certainly more than was expected.
One respected business. I never agreed at a price. This is why would he allow Major to barter more to a Major security?
He said they were all professionals, but I saw nothing of the sort. He said he had worked with them all in the army as their superior officer. They were men that could be trusted.
But that was not the case?
I had not even met them before they arrived on site. They brought their own equipment. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
And this equipment, it included the weapons that injured and killed the workers?
It was not much of a choice, Detective. I said they didn't need them, but Felix said it was essential. He said he knew better.
The more Major talks, the shadier his dealings with Major become. It's beginning to sound as though the riots were no accident.
That is all for now. Oh.
At first, you may question the nature of this letter, but it is by